Buffs Nation, what is going on? I'm hoping you guys are having a wonderful Monday evening, Tuesday morning, wherever you're watching this, whether you're here in Colorado, on the West Coast, on the East Coast, around the world. We know that prime time is a nationwide thing, and we're finally here. We are finally here. The University of Colorado, our Buffs, Coach Prime, and the rest of the team starting off the season here in just a few days in Fort Worth against TCU. And I am pumped to bring you a little bit of a preview every single day. So today we're going to focus on the TCU offense, what you guys need to know from kind of a high level perspective of where this team is at, some different players to look out for, and talk a little bit about how TCU or in how CU might match up against TCU. But of course, before I get started, I want to shout out my friend Martez here. Yo, Martez, we launched our first shirt, our first primetime shirt. So be sure to check that out on yomartez.com. SCO Buffs promo code for 10% off any of your orders. I'll be doing a video on that later, but if you want the sneak preview, go ahead and check that out right now. So let's go ahead and get started. Now that I got the housekeeping done, TCU, obviously, they're coming off of an impressive year. Big run to the national championship. Of course, they got embarrassed by one of the most dominant teams in college football, in the Georgia Bulldogs, college football history, rather. And they've had some turnover. They lost a handful of the guys to the NFL graduation. On a high level overview, their running backs are gone. Their wide receivers are gone. Their quarterback is gone. They have two starting offensive linemen that are gone. So they're having to replace a ton of production on the offensive side. But that does not mean that they do not have talent to compete and still produce a winning record team this year in the Big 12. So let's go ahead and get into it. Let's start with the quarterback position. They have Chandler Morris, 6 feet, 190 pounds. He was a high-rated 3-star coming out of high school a few years ago, I think 3 years ago or so, 4 years ago. Originally committed to Oklahoma, out of Highland Park, Texas, which is right there in Dallas, right in SMU's backyard. I think Jerry Jones, his grandson, if I am not mistaken, he was also the starting quarterback at Highland Park. But anyways, Chandler Morris originally went to Oklahoma for a year, and then he's transferred out here to TCU. And he entered in last year as the starting quarterback. If you're watching the Buffs last year, he got hurt in the first half or at the beginning of the second half. Max Duggan took over, and we all know how that turned out. They had a Heisman finalist come in there at quarterback and do a fantastic job. But Chandler Morris, dual threat guy, like I said, 6 feet, 190 pounds, so a little bit smaller than Shedeur size-wise. Has some good arm talent, but we really haven't seen what he can do. He's completed in the high 60s in terms of his completion percentage. He's completed somewhere around 70, 80 career passes. I mean, that's it. We have not seen a lot of Chandler Morris. And is this going to be the year, entering his 4th year? Is this going to be the year where he finally takes the reins? We'll have to see. Now, sorry, let me start over. Now, if he were playing last year, he would have been able to have some big-time NFL wide receivers to throw to, such as, sorry, I had this listed out here, Quentin Johnston, who was a first-round pick for the Los Angeles Chargers. You had Darius Davis, who also was selected by the Los Angeles Chargers, 125th overall. You also had a guy, Keandre Miller, who can catch the ball as well, but he's their running back. ran for 1,400 yards last year, third round pick of the Saints. And you had some fantastic pocket protection outside of the national championship, right? But they got some intriguing guys coming in here to catch the ball. Sorry, I'm on the wrong page here, but this is an unproven receiving core, but that doesn't mean that they don't have, uh, intriguing attributes. They definitely do. Their starting wide receivers are going to definitely be a challenge for Cormani McClain, Travis Hunter, the rest of the cornerbacks that we got, because they come in here with some interesting size. So Warren Thompson transferring in here from Arkansas. 6'3", 205 pounds. He hasn't had a lot of playing time, but he has remained productive when he's gotten in there. Over 16 yards a catch, few touchdowns. Savion Williams is going to be the other starting wide receiver. 6'5", 225 pounds. Last year, 29 receptions, 392 yards, and 4 touchdowns. It's for an average of 13 and a half yards per catch. That is very productive. He's entering his junior year. This is the time to break out. Now, when we look at the running backs, again, they've lost all their main running backs. This is a new running back room led by the likes of Amani Bailey, if I remember his name correctly. And he's a guy that has had limited production. He hasn't had a opportunity to start yet, but he remained productive in his time with the Horned Frogs last year. Averaged last year over 8 yards a carry, 31 carries, 250 yards, a couple touchdowns. Now is his time, and I think it's going to be a 1-2 punch with Alabama transfer running back Trey Sanders. Obviously, he came in to his college career extremely highly rated. I believe he was a 5-star, but he's battled injuries. He hasn't had a ton of time or opportunity to get on the field for the Crimson Tide, and now he's here with TCU taking on the Colorado Buffs. Now I forget, is he like a distant relative of Coach Prime? You got to remind me on that. So, yeah, when we're talking about the skill positions, TCU, they have some size, they have some speed. JP, what's his name? JP Richardson is a speedy guy, 6 feet, out of Missouri City, Texas. He's going to be their slot receiver. He's going to be a guy that has the potential to lead them in receiving this year. So they do have some talented guys. We're going to have to see if, this whole new unit, all these skill position guys and the quarterback, if they can put it together. They do have some new starters coming into the offensive line, but they do have some serious beef up front. Colton Deary, they're starting center, I believe, 6'4", 345 pounds, okay? They also got a guy in there. I think he's going to be there at right guard. Willis Patrick, maybe it's tackle. Willis Patrick, 6'4", 355 pounds. With us being a little light up front on the defensive line, that is definitely something that we're going to have to overperform in. I think that they're going to come in and really stress to establish the run, especially with kind of a less experienced quarterback behind center, right? So this is going to have to be an area where CU definitely has their work cut out for them, but they're going to have to stop the run. That's going to have to be the priority. Luckily, I believe we have the corners to where we can stack the box and rely on guys like Travis Hunter to play lockdown coverage against their wide receivers. Luckily, I feel like our secondary is probably our strongest position group. Maybe overall, you could argue maybe the wide receivers, but they're either the first or second strongest position group on this team. And hopefully with the coverage that they're able to play, it's going to allow us to stack the box and stop that run. That's going to be extremely important if CU is going to win this game, which I believe they can. Again, feeling a little less bullish on my 8-win prediction now that Tyler Brown was ruled ineligible, but I'm going to stick with it because predictions are fun. So this is just a little bit of a preview for what to look out for their offense. Again, it's going to look completely different than it looked last year. The defense, I think they have 6 or 7 guys returning to start that 3-3-5 defense. We'll be breaking that down as we get into the week, and also taking a look at some film later on this week with my friend John Cronenberg about how CU might attack this TCU defense, right? But overall, the offense, this is something that I feel gives us an opportunity. Their lack of continuity, I mean, that's what the Buffs have too, right? We're an offensive and defensive unit coming together. It's going to be a competition of who can gel, and who can make the least amount of mistakes first, right? So we'll go ahead and get into the defense later this week. I don't know if I'll do that tomorrow or Wednesday, but I want to know what you guys think. Who are some guys that we need to keep tabs on the TCU offense? What are your thoughts for what you think their strategy might be? Just bit my tongue. Their strategy might be to attack the Buffs defense. I want to know what you guys think. But overall, I mean, this isn't the most in depth. Again, this is just supposed to be a high level look. I think they're going to look to establish the run, especially with the beef that they have up front, the inexperience at quarterback and wide receiver. You want to, make the quarterback's life as easy as possible. And that happens when you establish the run. So that needs to be the Buffs' priority and focus, is squashing that. Make them beat us with Chandler Morris, right? So y'all let me know what you think in the comments. Again, really appreciate you checking in, and hit that like to support the Buffs. We need that good juju going into Saturday. And as always, go Buffs.